In this full tutorial, I'm going to be revealing the exact method that I've used to design ecom email marketing emails for over 27 and 8-figure e-commerce brands that have generated north of $40 million in revenue. This design process that I'm about to show you is a large part of how we were able to increase this brand's email marketing revenue by 161% year over year, and this Shark Tank brand's revenue by 87%. And by the time you're done with this video, you'll literally never need another guide on email design, and you'll be able to design killer, high converting emails for your own e-commerce brand. Before we get started, if this isn't a good time for you and you just can't devote the time to actually learn a skill that's going to help you make way more money as an e-commerce brand, just save this video, set it aside for later, because this is the type of video that you're actually going to want to watch from start to finish and take notes on. So right here are my agency Dispatch's simplified design guidelines. We have 20 plus bullet points that we run through when we're doing any design for any of our clients to make sure that it's perfectly designed to drive conversions, but this is the high level of it. So ultimately, we have our structure and layout, and then we have our visual elements. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this right now because we're going to see more of it as we get into the actual design process. But what I really want to show you is why design matters so much, especially in 2025. Ultimately, at the end of the day, there's more competition than ever in inboxes. So all of your customers are getting bombarded with more emails than they ever have been. And it's never been more important, or I'll even say necessary, to stand out in the inbox. And the way that you stand out is by having beautiful email designs at the end of the day that actually get customers to want to open your emails and engage with them. Now, the tricky thing in ecom is people can't actually touch your products in real life. Your brand identity to them is completely based on how you present yourself visually. And the biggest mistake that I still see brands making in 2025, they just don't see email as a channel that has to have the same quality of visuals as their other channels. So if we look at the average brand's customer journey in 2025, what's going to happen is people are going to find your brand through either an ad or organic content, and that organic content might look great, or that paid ad might look great. Then they're going to get to your website, and your website will hopefully look great. Once they sign up to your email with a pop-up form that hopefully looks great, your emails also have to look great at the same level, or else you lose trust from that potential customer because they're following your brand from those touch points. And if your visuals don't look cohesive and at the same level of quality at each of those touch points, it causes potential customers to lose trust in your brand. If you compare a brand that just doesn't have good looking emails to a brand that does, and a brand that takes their branding seriously across all of their touch points, it becomes really easy to understand why a customer who's only able to identify with your brand through the visuals that you're presenting is going to choose your competition that has better visuals, that makes their product and their brand look better and more premium and higher quality than yours. So right here, I want to show you a few examples of clients that we work with at Dispatch and just show you the before and after. Some of our clients we've been working with since 2022, over 3 years. Some of our clients we just started working with recently. But I say that to say that not much has changed in terms of how people are looking at email design from 2022 till 2025. So even though so much has changed in the e-commerce landscape, the average brand is still so far behind in terms of where they should be when it comes to design that actually drives conversion. So if we look at Young Nails, for example, before they started working with Dispatch, this was one of the templates that they were sending, and basically all of their emails looked around this level of quality. This is a perfect example of a brand whose organic social looks great. They have close to 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and their YouTube content is very well produced. They have close to 1 million followers on Instagram, and their Instagram content is very well produced. Their paid ads are well produced. They have a beautiful website, and then they were sending emails that looked like this. So it's really easy to see in this situation why someone's going to lose trust in the brand, because it ultimately doesn't even look like the same brand, and the quality that they were presenting on other channels was not resonating on email. So this was resulting in low click-through rates and low revenue. Now, one thing that's super important to understand about email design is just because an email is pretty, it doesn't mean that it's designed to convert and drive revenue. So when we look at this email, and especially when we compare it to our new email that we created for them at Dispatch, it's easy to see that, of course, this new email looks better. But really, the differences that are driving way more revenue are actually the structure of this email. So if we go back and look at our design guidelines, when we look at the structure and layout of an email, we want it to be extremely scannable with white space. We want the emails to have a header, a subheader, body copy, an image, and a CTA in terms of the top performing hierarchy that we have. And then we want to have CTAs above the fold, and we want to keep emails concise. So now if we look at the Young Nails email again, we can see there's no CTAs above the fold. So if someone opens this email on mobile, this is what they're going to see. And there was no call to action. The header is kind of buried. So it's a huge announcement. There's a Memorial Day that's live, but honestly, when you open this email, your attention kind of just goes to the live now header, which doesn't mention anything about the sale. And then when you go down, they just mention the different products they have. They're not like calling out what the discounts are, what the new prices are. They're really not speaking to like why someone should want to go shop the sale. Whereas if you look at our new email, of course, at first glance, this is a beautiful email that just looks great and really presents the brand in the best possible light. But when you look at the hierarchy and CTAs, we have a clear Memorial Day flash sale is live header. We have our subheader. The entire site is 20% off. Then we have our body copy, which is saying plus all Go Time and Manicure gel polish colors are just $4 each. And then a really clear CTA to just go shop the sale. This is literally a funnel in terms of design that's bringing people from the header to the subheader to the body copy, each getting them to the next point until they get to a really clear CTA to go shop. So we've been working with Young Nails since 2022. And at the end of the day, our click-through rates are sky high compared to their previous click-through rates. The next client I'll show you is Red Stick Spice. So before working with Dispatch, this is basically just like a Klaviyo default template, which most brands in the market are still using. So if you're watching this video, the good news is you're still pretty early on, surprisingly, because if you do create much better design templates for your emails, you're going to be better than most of the market that's still using these kind of basic Klaviyo templates. So you open the email, you should have a ton of content here. They were sharing recipes, but the way that they were showcasing them didn't really speak to why you should go look more into the recipe. It didn't speak to the products that were actually being offered. So Red Stick Spice sells products that you can use in these recipes, but like they were just hyperlinking them. They weren't really showing the products visually. You can see here, obviously, this is a beautiful email compared to the Klaviyo template that they were using before. And then you have a really clean layout in terms of that header, body copy, CTA, that's just driving them to the site. And then the way we're actually showcasing their products is visually a lot more appealing to get someone to want to go to the site and shop. Next up, we have True Diagnostic. So again, a pretty basic Klaviyo template that was being used. This is a really good example of a brand who needs premium design to actually sell their product. If your product is premiumly priced in your category, which a lot of D2C brands are compared to just going to a Walmart and buying whatever's on the shelf there, you need to have design that supports the idea that this is actually a more valuable product, because it literally translates to if you are charging 50% more, you have to have the perceived value of your product be 50% or ideally even higher than that more. So True Diagnostic sells products that are over $1,000. And ultimately, if you want to get someone to buy a $1,000 plus product, you need to present it in a very, very premium light. So if we look at the templates that we have created for them, you can see right away, this email design is just screaming premium. This looks more like a design that you would see from a brand like Apple than anything else they were doing before. And once we implemented this new design style for True Diagnostic, we saw our click-through rate skyrocket. So right off the bat, if you're watching this and you think your emails look more like the Klaviyo template type of emails and the before Dispatch emails that you just saw, the rest of the video is going to be super valuable to you because I'm going to show you how to create emails like we create them at Dispatch for our clients. And again, even if your emails look good and they do look better than those Klaviyo templates, you're going to get a ton of value out of what I'm about to show you because there's so much more that goes into an email that drives clicks and conversions than just it being pretty. This here is the very long list of Dispatch design guidelines. Basically, we have our scannable layout, we have our top performing content hierarchy, we have our CTAs that need to be above the fold. We need to have a CTA in each and every module. We need to have a CTA near each product. So basically, if we're showing a product, it should be very easy for someone to click through and go shop it, which most brands don't have. Whenever you have a promo running, the way that you actually present that promo offer has to be super, super intentional. And after hundreds of A/B tests, we have a specific methodology of how we want to showcase promotions. Email length, we don't want the emails to be too long. Your emails absolutely need to follow your brand guidelines because, like I said, you need that visual cohesive experience from one touch point to the other. And that basically means you need to use consistent fonts, you need to use consistent colors. Visual consistency across the board needs to be there. You need to have consistent alignment, so you don't want to have like left aligned content in one section and then center aligned in another if it just doesn't make sense. You want to be using really high quality imagery. You need to show them the quality of the product through your visuals. The visual hierarchy is how we're going to lead readers from one section to the other. Fonts need to be readable, so we have very specific sizes that work on both desktop and mobile when we're designing based in Figma. You need to have high contrast for readability, so a lot of brands will put like a CTA that's close to the same color as the background, and then you can't even see it. Someone's not going to see it. They're not going to click. Responsive design, so basically we are going to be designing our emails in Figma, but if you do have any components that are going to be in Klaviyo, you need to make sure that it is responsive for both desktop and mobile. You want to use a balanced use of white space. So basically we don't want to have too much clutter in our emails. Button styles should be consistent. So you shouldn't have like one green button, one red button, one blue button. If all buttons are green, for example, there's more clarity in terms of where people's eyes are getting drawn to click. Clear visual indicators. So just like make sure that anything that we want to focus people's eyes on have focus. We tend not to use emojis too much, but if it makes sense for your brand, you can use it. This is just really for our internal designers. You want to use icons instead of bullet points. Do not use bullet points in your emails. It just is not the best way to actually engage people and get them to read. Icons are a way better way to present that information. We want to use relevant images. So like if we're talking about a certain product, we want to show a great looking image of that product. We don't want to show a different product as an example. Sounds obvious, but you might be surprised at how many brands just are not doing that. We want to have visuals be as engaging as possible. So we want to use GIFs whenever we can. We need to have very high resolution visuals. So we just can't have any blurry images, for example. This is a lot of work that goes into creating perfect emails that are designed to drive clicks and conversion, but it really becomes second nature once you're doing it for a while. Now, I'm just going to show you at a glance some more examples of great conversion optimized designed emails that we've designed for clients at Dispatch, just so that you can see what good email design should look like here. We have our client Lions Leather over here, and what I want you to understand and take away from this is every brand can have conversion optimized email design. So I didn't want to just show you a few examples and have you say like, well, that won't work for my brand. It won't work under our brand guidelines. I want you to understand this can work with any brand guidelines. And I'm going to show you how to incorporate your brand guidelines in a minute. This is Kin Euphorics, co-founded by Bella Hadid that we worked with. And you can see we work perfectly within their brand guidelines over here. At the end of the day, what you should be looking at here and what really stands out as what's driving conversion at a high level is super clear layout so that everything is scannable. Someone opens the email, they can clearly see a flavor for every craving. They understand what the point of the module is about. We're showing the visual of the can and the ingredients inside of it in a really clear way. And then no bullet points. We're using icons to highlight the specific unique selling points of that product. So right away, in literally 3 seconds here, someone can understand exactly what they're going to get out of this product and why they should buy it. This is our client Outwork Nutrition. The brand was founded by influencer Lane Norton. Awesome brand to work with. And again, here you can just see right away that this is a product that is premium. And the goal is to get you to understand that this is going to achieve the results that you're looking for. This is a product that is better, higher quality than what you're currently using. We have our client Privileged, a footwear brand over here. And one of the most important things that goes into email design is understanding user experience and user interfaces that optimize the user experience. We're not just throwing shop now buttons everywhere. So when it comes to footwear, like you don't want to go and shop something that's not in your size. So just something like this, where visually we can have someone go and shop by their size by clicking a button, is a great example of something that's going to drive incremental clicks to the website, which is going to result in incremental conversions. And then we have our client gumball.com over here. So you can see that everything's intentional. How we're highlighting the promotion that's included here, the layout that is really scannable. You can see at a high level, big selection, bigger possibilities. We have our CTA above the fold. You scroll down, Sweet Success starts here. So they're selling B2B. So we want to make sure that they're communicating all of the best sellers to their customers. This is actually a good example here of where most brands go wrong when they're talking about their products. Most brands, if we think back to that Young Nails example, are just saying like, here's product, go shop it. What good design does is it highlights the products in a better visual way, first of all, so that draws more attention to them, but then it also allows space to communicate why someone should go buy those products. So we're not just saying like Double Bubble gumballs, go shop here. We're saying Double Bubble gumballs, America's favorite gumballs with 24 plus months shelf life, available in an array of colors and flavors, shop now. So hopefully after seeing what good conversion optimized email design looks like across several brands at this point, you're confident that we can make this happen for your brand. So now it's finally time to get into the actual Figma tutorial to design an email for your brand. What I'm about to show you is something that we are going to be selling for hundreds of dollars in the future. As of today, it's completely free and you can grab it in the description. This is the most comprehensive file of email design templates that I have ever seen. And this was something that we've designed at Dispatch. It's going to be available for sale, but it's free right now. And this is what we're going to be working off today. So basically you can see you have January, February, March, April through the rest of the year. You have your place for the email name and description, the subject line, the preview text, and the frames in which we're actually going to build the emails. So everything is laid out for you to build your campaigns. So this is a great framework for you to work out of, but then where the real magic is for each of the flows. So whether you came to this video because you're looking to design a campaign email or flow emails today, this is going to cover both. So there's different pages in this Figma file. Each page is for a different flow. And what these pages have are all of the templates for the different emails that you need in high converting flows. So So when we look at our welcome series, for example, we're literally telling you in each email what you should be talking about. I have another video on how to create the perfect welcome series. I have another video on how to create the perfect abandoned cart flow. So those would be better references to watch as you're building out your flows. But you can see in this template, we are telling you what you should talk about. So as an example, in your first welcome email, your header should be thanking your customers for subscribing. You have an image here. You need to put your logo here. This is the code that you should be giving to your subscribers. Your CTA should be here and should be something like shop now. In the second module, you should choose one of these options, either a letter from your brand's founder, sharing your brand's values and what makes your products unique, showcasing your best-selling products and collections, etc. And this goes on for every single email. Right below here is where you can see references for what every single one of these emails looked like for our client Gumball when we built out their flows. So across all of our flows here, welcome, abandon, browse, post-purchase, win back, etc., you have over 30 templates to choose from in terms of the layouts or the actual references that you can then go and directly edit for your flows and also for your campaigns. Go to the link in the description, get these templates 100% for free, download Figma if you need to, and then we're ready to move forward. So for the sake of the design tutorial that we're going to get into today, we're going to design a campaign email because that is what most of your designs are going to be for once you've done your flows. And we're going to be using my favorite brand, Nike, as our example here. So I'm going to show you exactly how to take one of these templates and you're going to be able to see exactly how you can do the exact same thing for your brand. So one of the top performing campaign angles that any brand can send is a customer testimonials, customer reviews campaign. You want to have a testimonials email in your flow, which is why this template is here. But once in a while, as you have new reviews that come in, you have new products, you absolutely want to showcase reviews on an ongoing basis to all of your subscribers. So with that said, this is the template that we can choose for a reviews testimonials campaign. And personally, the way I like using this file, you can use it in two ways. You can either copy paste this entire frame like I just did, and then you can make edits in the template. Or what you can do is copy the actual reference from Gumball like I just did over here, and then update the content to be relevant to your content that you're going to be sending and your brand as well. And because I'm more visual and it's easier for me to just replace things than have to go thinking about like what should be in a specific place, although we do give you good instructions for the blank template, my personal preference is to update these Gumball templates. So I'm just going to cut this over here. We can go into our campaigns template, and then we're currently in June. So let me go ahead and go to July. We'll actually design this down here and then we can bring it up after. Here is our reference template that we're going to be updating for Nike. So now we have our pure template for this email. And then we also have the Gumball reference right next to it. So first things first, this isn't in our welcome series. It's just going to be a campaign. So we don't need a reminder of our welcome offer here, which means the first thing we need is to replace the logo with our logo. So I'm just going to drag in the Nike logo. You can drag in your logo, and I'm just going to replace the Gumball logo with the Nike logo right here. Make it the right size, and I'm going to center it. So Figma does a great job of letting you know when this is centered within the frame. If Nike was sending this to prospects who have never placed their first order and we did want to keep this in here, what I would do is I'm just going to change this to black. Nike's brand colors are simply black and white, and the font that Nike uses is Futura. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take all of this, copy this text, and I'm going to go to fonts, and here's where you're going to put in your brand font. I'm going to put in Futura over here. I use Futura bold, and then I'm just going to make this a lot smaller. We're going to make the text smaller so that it fits in. A major cheat code to make sure everything is aligned, because you can see we can't really tell like if it's aligned vertically over here. You can group your different items. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the black square rectangle over here, and then I'm going to click shift, and I'm going to click on the text box over here. What I can do now is I can right click and I can click group selection. And now when I click on the text box over here, you're going to see the alignment section over here. I can align it horizontally, and now it's going to align it within the group, so within the rectangle. And then I can click on this, which is going to align it vertically. So this looks perfect for Nike. So moving on to our hero section, what we're going to do is we're just going to change the background color to your brand's main background color that you would use on your website here. What we can do for Nike is make this white. We can go ahead and just change the copy slightly. So I have a whole other video on copywriting, not going to get too deep into it here, but we can say over 1 million happy customers and counting for Nike. We're going to swap out these images that were used for Gumball with the images that make more sense for Nike. So we can go ahead and delete these over here, but we can use them as a reference for what we want to take icon. So we have two shoes that are going to work here for Nike. You can just adjust the dimensions just like I'm doing right here. And we can literally just use the exact same placement that we had before. Make this a bit smaller. Obviously, you can adjust this to your liking. You can even put it in a different way. That's completely up to you. But for here, this makes sense for Nike. So let's go ahead. Just gonna angle this up. Maybe we could have it pointing to the CTA over here. The next thing we'll do is you need to change over all of your fonts. The fonts that we have here for the header, Nike's header font is going to be this Futura. And you can see when I change this to Futura, it makes it bigger just because naturally it's a bigger font. So let's try something like 65 here, a little small. We can go with 75, 85 maybe. And then we can go over here, change the font to Helvetica, which is Nike's font. When we change this Sophia, so the button as well is going to be Futura. And then we could keep this to customer favorites as well, I think. So this is going to be shop customer favorites over here. And then we can actually make this a little bigger to fit in because I want the CTA to be bigger as it was before. So I'm just going to drag this just like this, and we can center it inside the button. So just like before, I'm going to group these over here. Going to click on the text element, and then I'm just going to click center. I'm going to just drag this to the middle. So I'm going to change the button color to black. You're going to change it to whatever that is for your brand. And you can already see this is starting to look a lot more like Nike's branding compared to what we had before with Gumball's branding. So here we can say something like trusted by runners around the world, and we can just make this centered. So again, we can click our centering button. So now we're ready to get into our reviews over here. The way that we're looking at this, we want our email to be easily scannable so that customers can easily identify exactly what's going on here. So the way that this is done for Gumball is we have the product image over here that represents what's being talked about in the reviews. We have our 5 stars, which is super important to just really clearly signal that this is a 5-star review, great product. And then we're actually going to have the content of our review in quotation marks with the name of the person who left the review over here to just instill more trust. And then what we're going to want to do is have a clear call to action button so that someone can go shop the product that's being talked about in the review. So this is the first pair of shoes, which is called the Nike Wear All Days that we're going to be putting in here for our first review. So I'm literally just going to swap out this pair of Nike shoes with the product that was there previously from Gumball. So we'll adjust the spacing afterwards, but really simple. I'm just going to put the product images where it was. You can do the same thing with your product images. And then I'm going to just pull in the review from Nike's website that goes with this product. So over here, when I go to paste in my review, we can see the font that Gumball was using was Sophia Pro. We're going to replace this with Helvetica. You're going to replace that with your font. And then I can see this option to replace on the whole page. So if I click this, it's going to replace all of the fonts that were previously using Sophia with Helvetica, which is going to be super convenient for you if you're using this template. I'm going to go ahead and paste this in. So we have our Nike review here. Literally the comfiest trainers Nike sells, surprisingly one of the cheapest. I'm on my second pair and use these in summer months and on holiday. Great review. And then this review is from Richard. So I'm just going to go ahead and change this to Richard. Again, we're just going to want to change the colors to match your brand's colors. So for Nike, this is going to be black, and then the CTA. Instead of Sophia, we're going to want to change this to Futura. And these were called All Days. So I'm just going to put in All Days. And now someone can clearly see a 5-star review for the All Day shoes. They can see the product. They can see the great review for it. And then they can click the button to go shop it. Like, it doesn't get simpler than this. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make a frictionless shopping experience from our email. So the simpler, the cleaner, the better. So the next product that we have here that I just copy pasted from Nike's site are called the Court Vision Pros. So we can go ahead and just bring this in. We ideally want this to be similar in size to the product above just for continuity. So we have this over here. I'm going to go ahead and pull the review. So here's the review that we just pulled in from Nike's site for the Court Vision Lows. And these were from Beth. I'm going to change Gumballs to Court Vision Lows. And then we're going to go ahead and change Sophia to Futura. You're going to use your brand's font. Want to make sure this is the same font size. So 36, 36. looks good. Change the button color to our black over here. And then let's just do one more over here for our campaign. I personally love Nike Air Maxes, so let's go with Air Maxes here. Going to pull this in, and then I'm just going to change out the review. This one on the site was from Ewan. Let's go ahead and change the button. Look at how easy this is. Futura 36, change Gumball Machines to Air Maxes. Perfect. So we can stop at 3 for the sake of this campaign, this example. But of course, if you want to show more reviews for more products, you can of course do that. Honestly, this looks great for a customer reviews campaign. We really don't need more than this. If you did want to add in other content, you can see in this template, there's like a overall why we're different module that was used for Gumball. You can implement something like this as well. If there was something else that you wanted to include here, so let's say you wanted to include an us versus them module, which works super well as just a conversion angle, you can go ahead and pull that from one of the templates. You can either bring that in with the layout, or you can bring that in with the Gumball example, and you could literally just copy this entire us versus them section and then paste that right in here. If we want to do that for Nike, what we could have here is us versus them. We could remove the M&M over here, and then Gumball has these awesome icons, but obviously these could just be replaced with whatever makes sense for your brand. So we might want to make these white for Nike, let's say. You can just remove all of these, and then you can just swap out all of these for your brand's USP, so your brand's unique selling points, and then you're just going to show the alternative for your competitors. So as an example, for Gumball, that was 24 plus months freshness guarantee. For the competitors, you don't know what the shelf life is. So anytime you can just frame your product in a good light like this is an amazing design element to use. And you can simply just copy paste this, do it in your own branding, but this gets you 90% of the way there. If you ever want to just not include something from the templates, what you can do is just simply drag on the section that you don't want to include and just delete it. So I'm just dragging over all of this over here, and we can just delete this. The last thing we're going to do here is the footer. So the great thing about your footer is you really just need to update it once, and then you can just copy paste it. Don't have to think about it again, because your footer is basically going to be the same everywhere. So ideally you want your footer's background color to be different than the rest of your email. So here for Gumball, it was blue. You can see in the template, it's gray. What we can do is for Nike, for example, we can make this black, and let me just remove everything here. What I'm going to do is I can just drag in our footer from the template over here, copy paste, drag it in, and then I'm going to make this section black. I'm going to bring Nike's logo in. So I'm going to go pull Nike's white logo. There we go. You're going to have this text in Klaviyo actually, but for the sake of having a clean footer, you can have it there. And then you can see that there's a big white space now. Obviously we don't want that. So what we can do is simply just bring our footer up over here near the top of the email. And then we can click on the frame of the email, click Command at the bottom here, and then just drag this all the way up. And now you can see we have our clean email that would be ready to send. Just looking at this, we just want to make sure that everything is centered perfectly. We want to make sure that the visuals are all as crisp as they can be. So just a few tweaks that I'm going to do to clean this up. I'm just going to make a little more space here for everything to breathe a little bit. I want to make the images bigger so that they stand out more. There we go. Everything should be aligned, and Figma really helps you with the red lines over there. So let me just drag this here a bit. Can make this image a little bit bigger, and this looks great right around here. So you can adjust absolutely anything to your specifications, but honestly, this looks great. This email is absolutely designed to convert. Now we have our good looking email design in Figma, but we need to get it into Klaviyo. So what we're going to do is we're going to slice this email, and then we're going to bring the slices into Klaviyo. The way we're going to slice it is you're going to click on this tool down here. It might say frame, and you're just going to select slice over here. And then after you select slice, you're going to drag so that each section becomes one slice. So the way you know that a slice is going to be a new slice is if it is going to link somewhere else. So if there's a CTA that's unique to that section, you'll want to create a new slice. And you also just don't want a slice to be too big, because if a slice is too big, what's going to happen is the image is going to take too long to load. We want our emails to load extremely quickly when someone opens them in their inbox. You can see here, I'm just copy pasting the slices and then aligning the top of the new slice with the bottom of the old slice. We have all of our slices over here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click slice one now on the side, and then click shift and hit all of these, and then click export over here. So I'm going to click 3. This is basically the resolution of your images, so we want them to be high resolution. So I'm going to export them as JPEG just because they're a little smaller, and then I'm going to click export 6 layers. So I exported our 6 layers over here. And now what we're going to do, because we really want the emails to load quickly, is I'm just going to Google JPEG minimizer. And the first link, compressjpeg.com, is my favorite. So I'm going to click upload files here. And then we're just going to drag in the slices that we just exported from Figma. And what this is going to do is our files were already pretty small, but you can see they're getting reduced now by close to 90%. And this is basically going to make them load 90% faster. So just like that, they're all done. Download all, we'll get our zip file, and then we can go into Klaviyo. So I'm going to head over to templates in Klaviyo. You could build it in campaigns. You could build your emails in flows. You could build it anywhere. And I'm going to click create. And then I'm going to start dragging in image slices. So I'm going to remove this section. And then the first image we're going to bring in is just going to be our slice number 1. So I'm going to click upload image, and I'm going to bring in slice number 1 that we just pulled. Ladies and gentlemen, you are witnessing history, because this is actually the first time that I've ever seen this in Klaviyo. This is a brand new feature that's going to make our lives a lot easier. If you are using Klaviyo, then you actually can skip the last step. You don't need to compress those files. Klaviyo now has the ability to compress it for you. So what's amazing is now you can just bring these in directly from Figma. You can still see the resolution is great, and it's showing that it's compressed over here. All I'm going to do is just duplicate this and then replace it with our second slice, and then third, and then so on. So this is our second slice. We're going to have our third over here. And just like that, we have our entire email built in Klaviyo. The last thing we have to do here is we need to add alt text and links to all of our slices. So typically you want your logo in your header to link out to your website. So this would basically just be .nike.com. You want this to go to your homepage. That's just typical user behavior. And then for alt text, we just want to describe the image. So alt text is going to help the inbox providers understand what your images are saying, so that they know that there's nothing that is spam in there. So I'm just going to write Nike logo in here. And then for any of your image slices that have text, we're literally just going to input the text that's over here. So I'm going to write save 10% on your first order with code welcome 10. And then I'm going to continue on with the rest that's in the slice. So over 1 million happy customers and counting, etc. So in every one of your slices, you're going to go ahead and add in alt text and that link address. And then you're simply ready to send a preview and schedule. The fact of the matter is, we just did that in a few minutes, but you could probably tell that I'm not a graphic designer. But the truth is, I am a retention marketing strategist at heart. That is my big skill set. The good news is that if I can design an email that looks that good, so can you. The bad news is that's basically the extent of how good I can make an email look based on these templates. At the end of the day, if you want your emails to look incredible, you need to have a professional graphic designer who's designing them. When you look at your competitors' emails in your inbox and you think, wow, this looks amazing, it is because they have a graphic designer who's designing these emails from scratch in Figma. So these templates are going to get you 80, maybe 90% of the way there to having great looking templates. But that extra 10% is really what can make the difference between one of your prospects buying from you versus buying from your competitors. There are so many things that go into having top tier email marketing that drives conversions. You have copywriting, you have designing, you have the strategy behind it all. You have the project management that brings it all together. And the truth is, when I started my agency Dispatch, the ultimate thing that I believed in was that if you want to have the best quality emails, the best product, you need to have the best people doing what they're best at. So every client that works with us has an expert strategist, an expert copywriter, designer, and project manager that is working to optimize their email marketing. Ecom brands these days basically have 3 options when it comes to email marketing. You can do it yourself. You can use ChatGPT for the copy. You can use the templates that are in the description, again, for free. And you can send emails that you think are going to drive conversions. But at the end of the day, if you are going to do all that yourself, you're also probably running ads for your brand. You're also probably managing your Shopify store. You're doing a lot of things. And at the end of the day, AI is not going to be the answer to getting you the results that you're looking for. Option number 2 is working with a standard email marketing agency. So a standard email marketing agency is going to basically handle the copywriting and the design, but they're not going to do it at an extremely high level like the case studies that I showed you earlier. And they're not going to be able to lead you down a path to driving significantly more revenue. What makes us different at Dispatch is we take an e-commerce first approach and a lifecycle marketing first approach to email marketing. We ask ourselves the big question every time we're sending a campaign or putting a flow together of what is ultimately likely to drive a conversion. So we do that by analyzing your customer journey in depth, doing research into your customer demo, analyzing all the data that we have at our disposal, and then crafting emails that actually convert. The third option that brands brands have is going out and hiring someone in-house to run your email marketing. The problem with that is usually it's going to be someone who's wearing a lot of hats. So typically with brands I audit, there's a marketing manager who's running email marketing, but also running paid ads and also running influencer marketing and also running social media. And they don't have the attention that is required to actually drive incremental revenue every single month from email marketing. And not only that, but they don't have the expertise that comes with living in Klaviyo for so many years and really understanding these channels. So ultimately, the reason why brands partner with us to take over their copywriting, their design, and most importantly, their strategy in putting together a customer journey that makes sense for their brand is because they know that we're a team of experts that they're literally plugging into their brand as a full lifecycle marketing department that is going to help elevate them until the point where it makes sense for them to go out and build their own in-house lifecycle marketing department. So really it's for that reason that over the last 3 years, our average client has stayed with us for over 2 years because we really do become embedded into their business. We care about their goals and we work with them to achieve all of them. And if any of that sounds at all vague, you can definitely go to my channel to see everything that we do. What it really comes down to is handling all of the copywriting, design, strategy across all campaigns, all automated flows, and all list growth. So basically what it comes down to is if you are spending money on paid ads, which all of our clients are and which your brand probably is, you want to make sure those dollars are going as far as possible. Our service starts with making sure we're capturing as much of your traffic as possible with optimized pop-up forms that we're A/B testing every single month. Then we implement automated flows to convert that traffic as efficiently as possible. And then we have campaigns to convert both your prospects and your existing customers into repeat purchasers. If you want to dominate your market, you absolutely need someone who is in Klaviyo daily, looking at your numbers and optimizing your strategies every single month. In terms of the results that both our creative and our strategy has gotten for clients, we helped Glam Squad increase their retention marketing revenue by 68% through email, SMS, and push strategies. We helped Young Nails increase by 161%, increased email marketing revenue for the Shark Tank brand Ready Set Food by 87%, increased revenue from My Life in a Book by 303% in 3 months, increased revenue for the food and beverage CPG brand Nekohama by 609% in 3 months, for the brand Jasper by 359% in 3 months, increased email marketing revenue for Holos by 64%, and increased email marketing revenue by 43% over 12 months working with Feel Goods. The way that we've been able to generate these results consistently time and time again has truly become systematic, and it all falls under what we call the momentum method, which is based upon a combination of using our learnings across the variety of brands that we work with, along with tailoring our strategy to your brand specifically and optimizing based on your metrics every single month. If your brand's doing over $3 million annually in online revenue, or you're on pace to do that this year, feel free to head over to our website. The link is in the bio, thedispatch.agency, and you can apply to work with us there. If you're not ready to work with a team just yet, that's totally fine. I still want to help you scale this year. There's one big thing that I need to mention. Design is extremely important to get right. We just talked about it. But once you've got your design down, maybe through using the templates that are in the link in bio, the next step, which is the most important step, is to create high converting flows using high converting strategy. Unfortunately, a lot of the information out there on email marketing strategy just is not great. So click here to watch the next video where I walk through exactly how to actually set up all of the flows that you need that are actually built for conversion so that you can be 100% confident that your automations are doing exactly what they need to be doing and that you're making as many sales as you should be on the back end 100% on autopilot. I'll see you over there.